Everyone, this is Nikachu, Merfolk Master, and I am here with my brother as we return back to Legacy Merfolk. That's right, we're back to Chalice of the Voiding people, force to willing them out of the game, and, making their life a living hell with True Name Nemesis. If you love your favorite tribe in all the formats, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Before we get into our deck tech, we're going to thank our sponsor, themanabase.com. And the latest Pauper content is out. Zombies! If you love mono black, if you love tribes like zombies, don't forget to check out Pauper Ponderings by Austin Hoy on themanabase.com, your home base for everything Magic the Gathering. And I have so many new patrons supporting me on Patreon. Thank you so much for your support, supporting the channel and supporting Merfolk. So I would like to begin thanking Jake Miller, welcome back Corey Chamblin, Alex Cole, Floris Staple, Jasper DeHond, and thank you very much for raising your pledge on Patreon, Jasper. Zachary Lightfoot, Leon Gutberlet, Zeron Zephyr, Tarver Peterson, Florian Reichelt, Alexis Martinez, Gail Hammett, Jesse Wooden. I'd like to thank Eric Westland, who also raised their pledge on Patreon, Peter Neville, and Samuel Yap. Thank you very much, all of you, for supporting me on Patreon and supporting Merfolk. But there's one last thing we gotta do.
The giveaway.
The giveaway, yeah, we're giving away a Curse Catcher. Where's our beautiful Curse Catcher? Curse Catcher, burger and fries. That's right. So, there was 230 shares between Twitter and Facebook. Each share or retweet gave you a potential entry to, or ballot to win this Curse Catcher. So, and there was 169 on Twitter. Great showing, Twitter. Not as many on Facebook, 61. We got to up those numbers, people. We got to up those numbers on Facebook. So we're going to do a random draw for this. So how it's going to work, we're going to pull a random number from random.org. So there are 230 possibilities. So basically from 1 to 169 will be everyone on Twitter. I'm going to start it off from episode 1 or part 1 to 5 of my videos shared. And the same thing on Facebook. It'll be from numbers 170 to 230, starting from the part 1 to part 5. So our lucky number is going to be 124, so that means Twitter. So we go on Twitter, so 41. I got a lot of great stuff on Twitter. 41 plus 39, so 80.
I'm going to send that thing in.
80, 107. So we're at 107. So it has to be in here. So we're going to go number above to bottom on the Bridge Vines, on the Bridge Vine episode. So 107, 107 and 8, 9, 10. Hold on, what number are we looking for? 124. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Gian Marco, congratulations, you just won. You just won a Curse Catcher with a burger and fries. Where's the Curse Catcher with burger and fries? Congratulations, Gian Marco. Ta-da! Let's see if I can.
Is that thing tournament legal?
Oh, absolutely. Congratulations. You won a curse catcher with a burger and fries.
On it. Not the card plus food.
not redeemable for actual food. So, with that, so that finishes that giveaway, but that's okay. There's another giveaway. We have more curse catchers, and this is a legacy episode, so we're going to feature another curse catcher here because curse catcher is definitely something in legacy. Don't underestimate curse catcher in legacy. Oh, curse catcher is big with Deathrite Shaman's banning. This thing is huge. So we've got another curse catcher, this time with a goblin head. If you hate goblins in modern, if you hate goblins in legacy, goblins has made a resurgence in legacy, you're gonna want this curse catcher. This is a legacy curse catcher, that's for sure. Those goblin ring leaders should realize who the real leader is. They better obey the curse catcher or they're going to get served by the curse catcher. So to be eligible for this, don't worry, just go into the comment section below and either retweet today's episode on Twitter or share the link on Facebook. On either one, and the more you share and retweet per video that I produce, the better the chances are you have of winning the curse catcher. So with that, let's now get on finally with our video. So this is Legacy Merfolk. This is the second place finish list that Fnatic had, aka Goran Elez, who is a legacy specialist. And he has now made the top 8 of several modern challenges. He's made second place at least twice, maybe 3 times, at least twice. And so I'm taking his latest list. It's a really clean, beautiful list. I really like the clean numbers. I like the focus and direction of the deck. So let's talk about it. And if you're not super familiar with Legacy Merfolk, then we can talk a little bit about the basic core deck. First off, we're running as many Cavern of Souls as possible because Merfolk can leverage it. One of the most popular cards, or some of the most popular cards in Legacy are Daze and Force of Will. Force of Will is what keeps the format together. It's the glue of the format so that nothing too stupid can exist in Legacy. So there's a lot of decks with Force of Will. There's also a lot of decks with Chalice of the Void, and make no mistake, they can actually get Chalice to 2. So we can beat all those things by playing Cavern of Souls. We can also cast our own creatures into our own Chalice because it will make them uncounterable. So that's why. So one of the advantages of playing Merfolk in Legacy is that we can very successfully play 4 copies of Cavern of Souls without compromising the rest of our game. We're mostly just playing creatures from our hand, and when we don't, we can pitch the blue card to Force of Will. It doesn't require any mana. So that's an advantage to Legacy Merfolk, is that we're playing Cavern of Souls. We're also playing with 12 basics, so we're not going to get hosed by Wasteland or Blood Moon. That's a huge advantage. Or Back to Basics. Back to Basics is also a pretty big card right now. So our mana base is very, very clean and resistant. We're going to still play with Mutavault. Mutavault is still a creature that gets under a lot of sweepers. Yeah, so Mutavault is still very good. It's just an extra body, and we can afford to play the colorless cards. Aether Vial, still very strong in Legacy. Again, it's a Force of Will format, so having Aether Vial to vial in creatures uncounterably, going to get beyond those days, is going to get beyond those Force of Wills. Get through them all, and I know we have Chalice of the Void. We're going to play it on 1, but it's worth it. Generally, we're going to be playing Aether Vial on 1 before we play our Chalice of the Void, and any future Aether Vials that we might draw when Chalice is on 1. Not a big deal, because the Chalice of the Void on 1 is probably hurting our opponent way more than it's hurting us. Curse Catcher. Now, Curse Catcher is a card that got really crippled over the last, I would say, year, because Deathrite Shaman decks just became so much more popular. Deathrite Shaman, there used to be a really wide variety of Delver decks, but then they all got squashed into a 4-colored Delver deck or Grixis Delver. I mean, they were basically the same deck, but the point is Deathrite Shaman, being so mana efficient, made Curse Catcher so useless. It was really hard to get value out of Curse Catcher because the Deathrite Shaman was this very popular mana accelerant, and Curse Catcher ended up just not really doing much. It wasn't strong enough. But now with Deathrite Shaman out of the format, people are going to be so much more taxed to play their spells now. So Curse Catcher is now, I think, is going to be a huge burden on all the decks that wanted to play a Delver style, or the Delver decks in general, including Grixis Control, which also used Deathrite Shaman at the time. So we have a little bit more ammunition against that deck, counter Kolaghan's Command, for example. It's going to be really hard, it's going to be much harder to pull off your Kolaghan's Command. One turn at a time. You're gonna wait. You have to wait until turn 4 to pull off your Kolaghan's Command. So it's gonna be way weaker. On top of that, we can extra tax them now. Daze is much more effective without Deathrite Shaman in the meta. Daze is it's an okay card, and actually, if you couldn't afford the Chalice of the Voids, I think Daze is an excellent budget replacement until you wait for your Chalice of the Voids. I've seen many particular deck lists not run Chalice and run a full play set of Daze. And they also have success. I would say it might be even more appropriate to play Daze in metagames where your Chalice of the Void isn't doing anything or not very strong. Like, I don't have a lot of faith in Chalice of the Void against, say, Grixis Control or Sneak and Show. I really don't like the card against Sneak and Show. Or, of course, it's not going to be good against Eldrazi or any sort of Knight of the Reliquary deck. So you might want to lean harder on Daze. Daze might be the counter spell for you. Echoing Truth is just a catch-all card. I heard, people like Tuxdev, who's also another Legacy specialist, they love the one of Echoing Truth. It's very good against lands. Bounce the Merit Lage token. It's very good at... it's versatile card. So there's the stupid Dragon Stompy deck in Legacy that plays Ensnaring Bridge, and you can't beat that card if that card resolves. So you have the Silver Bullet in the form of Echoing Truth. Just bounce the damn thing back to their hand and then swing for the win. You can save your own creatures if you want. You can balance multiple flip Delvers. So it has a lot of versatility, and I don't like it in large numbers, so I really like it as a one-of here. So you can't flood out on the card, and you just have just enough of them to use it when you really need it. So Phantasmal Image, 4 of. I like 4 of. It makes your True Name Nemesis better. It makes all your you have a more proactive game plan of lording out your opponent. Phantasmal Image also has the advantage of copying your opponent's really big spells. It's not really going to work too well against Sneak and Show, because when they show and tell, Phantasmal Image, when it enters the battlefield, you can't copy their Emrakul. Because the Emrakul is not... The Phantasmal Image copies things as it enters the battlefield. So when they play Show and Tell, they put their Emrakul and your Phantasmal Image in play. Phantasmal Image says, well, I'm supposed to copy something as I enter the battlefield. So the game backs up to before it enters the battlefield, and at that point, Emrakul's not in play either. So it has to copy something else. On the other hand, this is very good at copying cards from your Reanimator opponent. This is good at copying... What else can you copy? I know you're very good against Reanimator. You're fine against Sneak and Show if they, Show and Tell in Emrakul, and then you vial in your own vial this thing in, and then you copy the Emrakul. That's good. But the main reason you have Phantasmal Image is just to have extra copies of True Name Nemesis where it's needed. But don't be afraid of copying your opponent's spells if necessary. So cards like Silvergill Adept, Lord of Atlantis, Master of the Pearl Trident, they're still good. Some advantages to Lord of Atlantis and Master of the Pearl Trident is that Legacy in general is a pretty island-heavy format. Because it's a Force of Will format, people are going to be playing with Volcanic Island, Tropical Island, Tundra, and Underground Sea. So you have a greater than average chance of automatically having Island Walk. And then in the games where you don't have Island Walk, well, we have True Name Nemesis. True Name Nemesis has protection from your opponent, which means that they can't block him. They can't damage him. The only way they can get him off the board is through -X effects, so something like Toxic Deluge, where all creatures get -X. It will kill True Name Nemesis. Supreme Verdict, destroy all creatures. It will get rid of True Name Nemesis. Target player sacrifices a creature. If you have a True Name Nemesis in play, and that's the only creature you can sacrifice, that's one way they can get rid of True Name Nemesis. But they can't target him, and they can't damage him, and they can't block him. And if you block any of their creatures, it can't die. it cannot take damage from any of the creatures of your opponent. So it's Progenitus in the form of a 3/1 creature. Now, I can't say that this thing is completely invincible. True Name Nemesis in a lot of ways warped all of Legacy. Like there was when it first came out, everyone was playing True Name Nemesis and everyone was calling for its banning. But over time, people realized, well, there's actually a lot of cards that we can play that can get rid of it. You can get rid of it with like Marsh Casualties and Diabolic Edict, and make no mistake, people play those cards in order to deal with True Name Nemesis. So it's not invincible. Any deck that wants to beat True Name, they can, but still, it's a very strong, powerful card, and it's sort of a necessary evil against the decks that do not have islands. If they don't have islands, it's going to be really hard to push through damage, so we're going to rely on True Name Nemesis to get that damage through. I love the one Merfolk Trickster. I don't know how effective it's going to be in the metagame, but, Merfolk Trickster is very good in Modern, so it'll be interesting to see how it translates in Legacy. Personally, I really like Harbinger of the Tides, but I'm assuming Goran Ellis has playtested Harbinger of the Tides, and somehow he likes Merfolk Trickster better, so we're going to see how Merfolk Trickster plays. So another reason why Merfolk is good is because we're not forfeiting on Force of Will. Force of Will, like the glue to keeping Legacy together. We're going to play Force of Will. You can exile any blue card you want from your hand, and then pay 1 life, and you can counter a spell. So it's a really strong effect. Helps you beat combo decks. Helps you tempo out other opponents. Force of Will is just a great Legacy staple. So one argument people make is if you're not playing with Brainstorm, you have to have a very good reason why you're not. And our reason is Chalice of the Void. And I would argue that the strength of Legacy Merfolk relies on this card. If this card is not good, I don't know how good Legacy Merfolk is. Because this card was not very good over the last year because of Delver decks and Deathrite Shaman being able to ramp into 3 mana spells and play really mana efficiently. And there's other reasons why Chalice of the Void got weaker. Eldrazi popularized Chalice of the Void a little bit more and forced a bunch of other decks to adjust a little bit to Chalice of the Void. But Chalice of the Void, this deck leans hard on Chalice of the Void. Legacy is pretty unfair. If people can cast their 1 mana spells repeatedly, we're going to get ground out or beaten pretty comfortably if we can't stop those spells. Not to mention, Chalice of the Void can also be played on 0 to hit mana rocks, things like Lion's Eye Diamond, things like Lotus Petal, so it does have an application on 0, but really, this deck is about putting Chalice on 1, to slow the opponent down to a point where we can just have our way with them, just lord them out, and we have the cleanest game possible in order to do that. Just play our basic islands, put things in play uncounterably with Cavern of Souls, and that's the crux of Legacy Merfolk. So I think Legacy Merfolk leans very hard on this card, and I think the effectiveness of this card has a big impact over the effectiveness of Merfolk overall. Because otherwise we're just a dinky counter deck, we're a dinky creature deck, and they can just snipe them off one at a time. True Name Nemesis is not invincible, despite what it might look, but he is damn good. He is damn good, but he's not invincible. So let's talk about some other things that make Legacy Merfolk a lot better than it was over the last year. Gitaxian Probe got banned. That's a big deal. Delver decks. If you, for example, Gitaxian Probe someone and you see the way you are going to play out your Ponders and Brainstorms is going to be completely different depending on if we have like Chalice of the Void in hand, do we have Force of Will, do we have True Name Nemesis, do we just have a bunch of Lords, do they see that we have Cavern of Souls? For example, let's say someone plays Gitaxian Probe and sees we have Cavern of Souls. So now they know they need to either brainstorm away their counter spells, which are not going to play very well in the matchup, and draw into more just spot removal, Lightning Bolt, Fatal Push, for example. Another thing they could do is if they see that we have Chalice of the Void, then they might want to quickly use their Brainstorms and Ponders and try to fill their hand up with cards that will either find Force of Will in order to counter the Chalice of the Void, or find a heavier part of their curve in order to negate the Chalice of the Void. Like they could go into Young Pyromancers and Gurmag Angler, for example, and then make Chalice of the Void look stupid. What else? If they see True Name Nemesis, what could they do? Well, they could dig for the answers for True Name Nemesis. If they see a bunch of basic islands, they can shuffle away their Mutavaults. If they see Cavern of Souls and Mutavault, then they can keep their Wastelands in there. Sorry. If they see a bunch of basic islands, they're going to shuffle away their Wastelands. But if they see Cavern of Souls and Mutavault, they're going to want to keep their Wastelands, or maybe even find more of them. So the point is, by playing Gitaxian Probe, the blue players had a plan. They had an idea what to go for, what to play around in our hand. They can't do that anymore. Those days are over. So now they have to take a huge guess and hedge big time on what we have. If they don't keep it's a big deal if they decide to keep some counter spells in their hand just in case we have Chalice of the Void, because we're just going to undermine it with Cavern of Souls. Do they want Wasteland or not? Because if they keep Wastelands in their hand and we have a handful of basic islands, then those Wastelands are going to become useless. Like, the point is, if they want to hedge against our hand, then they're risking keeping dead cards in their hand, whereas in the past, they could also always get rid of their dead cards or dig for the answers that they knew that they need. Now they never will know what they actually need to have in their hand to deal with our hand. They're in the dark. They don't know if they can play around Force of Will or not. So I think that gives Merfolk the biggest boost that they can't. We have Glass Cannon cards. Like, these are high variance Glass Cannon cards. Chalice the Void can win the game by itself. Cavern of Souls can win the game by itself. I've won many games against Delver. They just couldn't counter anything. They had a handful of Dazes and Force of Will, and they were useless. I've had games where you Force of Will their one Delver, and boom, they can't do any. They just have nothing else to do for the rest of the game. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And now that Gitaxian Probe is shut off, I think that gives Merfolk a huge edge against all those Delver decks or blue-based decks that were playing Gitaxian Probe. And it also ripples into against Storm, against Show and Tell. They're all in the dark now. They don't know when to combo off. And if they guess, they are more likely to guess wrong. All right, now let's talk about the sideboard. Flusterstorm. Flusterstorm is like an odd card. It's a good card. It's a good card. It requires a bunch of things to be on the stack, but in essence, the reason you play Flusterstorm over Spell Pierce is because you can play it into Chalice of the Void. The initial copy of Flusterstorm gets countered, but the Storm copies don't. So this is a card that you can bring in against, for example, Storm, because you can play a Chalice on one and still effectively play Flusterstorm at the same time. Just make sure that enough copies are on the stack in order for Flusterstorm to actually counter anything. We're going to get back to basics last. So there's actually a lot of graveyard hate in this matchup in Goran Ellis' deck. He's got 2 Grafdigger's Cage, 3 Relic of Progenitus, and 2 Fairy Macabre. I can only imagine the Fairy Macabre is for lands, because lands and Reanimator. Reanimator, I think, is a fine matchup as it is, but Reanimator and lands are decks where you really want to interact with them, their graveyard, super fast. Like, just like on turn 1, especially if you're on the draw, Relic is going to be too slow. Grafdigger's Cage won't, but Relic will be. So Fairy Macabre, a really good way to interact with the opponent really quickly. And the same thing against lands, like they can start loaming really quickly. By the way, if I have any information wrong and Goran Ellis corrects me in the chat in the comments section, just believe him. But Fairy Macabre, I like it. It's a cool card. On top of that, if somehow you draw it, it's not dead because you can cast it actually through Ether. You can get into play with Ether Vial, and under some rare circumstances, you could name Cavern of Souls on Rogue and then cast Fairy Macabre, and it's 2/3. I'm sorry, it's a 2/2 flyer for 3, so it's not It's not ridiculously stupid. I'm sure you're not going to be casting it, but worst case scenario you can. Don't forget, True Name Nemesis is a rogue, so you could name Cavern of Souls on rogue. Grafdigger's Cage, good for the glass cannon decks that depend on the graveyard, things like Dredge and Reanimator. This is going to be good. I'm not sure exactly where Relic of Progenitus is good. I mean, aside from Tarmogoyf decks, I'm trying to think like why Goran wants this in addition to Grafdigger's Cage and Fairy Macabre, but maybe there's enough Tarmogoyf out there. It slows down Hooting Mandrills. Like there's several versions of Rug Delver out there. You've got the Tarmogoyf Nimble Mongoose version, which depend on a graveyard existing. And if there isn't a graveyard, then the Nimble Mongoose is a 1/1 or the Tarmogoyf is a 0/1. And those are two, like, that's Grafdigger's Cage and Fairy Macabre is very ineffective against Temur Delver. And also there are versions of Temur Delver now playing Hooting Mandrills because it plays around not only Lightning Bolt but also Fatal Push. Tarmogoyf can just die to Fatal Push, but you can prevent the you can significantly slow down the ability for them to delve away their graveyard. Same thing with any Gurmag Angler deck. You can use Relic of Progenitus to empty their graveyard. And Blue-Black Death Shadow is a deck that has exploded in popularity. I'm not sure what makes it better now than it has in the past. Jerry Thompson spoke very poorly about Blue-Black Death Shadow, like Delver Death Shadow in Legacy. He said, this is not an old idea. This is not a new idea. It's an old idea. It doesn't work. Blah, blah, blah. It's possible that the absence of Deathrite Shaman and Gitaxian Probe might have made it a lot better now. Because you can, you could at instant speed play Reanimate on someone else. Or I can't remember. How does Reanimate work? Is it an instant? Maybe it's a sorcery. But you can play Reanimate on your opponent's creatures and then, lose a bunch of life. Yeah, I believe it's a sorcery. So, in that respect, Relic of Progenitus is also good against them, so you keep their graveyard nice and empty. Prevent them from playing Gurmag Angler, prevent them from playing Reanimate. Dismember is just an all-around good card against creature-based decks, kill... I wouldn't say it's amazing against Death and Taxes, but it's better than keeping, a 3/3 Sarah Avenger, or, I can't remember, it's a 3/3 flyer for 2 mana. Those things alive, you want to kill those things off, and it's in there for general creature matchups. I would bring it in against Delver as well. We got Venser, Shaper Savant, which is just an all-around nice bounce spell, and I prefer things like Venser over Echoing Truth, so you can bounce those Merit Lage tokens. This is probably the best card against any sort of Show and Tell deck, either it's Sneak and Show or Omni-Tell, because let's say someone plays Show and Tell, and they play Omniscience, or what's a good example? Aside from Venser, there's also a card called. Do I have it here? Oh, I have it right here. Sower of Temptation. So against Sneak and Show, if they play Show and Tell and you put Sower of Temptation in play, you're gonna steal their Emrakul or steal their Grizzlebrand. But if they play Omniscience then this thing does nothing. Whereas if they play Omniscience, you play Venser and you can bounce the Omniscience back to their hand. And they're in trouble again. They need another Show and Tell in order to do anything. If they don't play Omniscience, you're still gonna bounce Emrakul or Grizzlebrand, so it's all good. It's all good. So Venser, one of the best cards against Sneak and Show, and just an all-around decent card in general. There's a lot of matchups where you just want to bounce permanents. I'd bring this in against Dragon Stompy in order to bounce Ensnaring Bridge. Okay, so last but not least, back to basics. I hate this card. I think this card sucks. I think it's awful. It's lost me almost all my games. I have a decent sample now that this card just has killed me. It's more awkward for me than it has been for the opponents that I've brought it in against. Our mana base overall is good to play back to basics, but, it's not invincible. It is possible to have just a non-vile hand with a bunch of, a Cavern of Souls, Immutable, and an island. And on top of that, my opponents have never been affected by it. Now, I am speaking on behalf of the meta game before the Deathrite Shaman banning, because when Deathrite Shaman was around, people had more than enough mana. They had Deathrite Shaman, a basic, and then whatever land that they were going to choose to make tapped, and not like they'll play a non-basic land, and okay, sure, it's not going to untap, but they still have enough mana between the Deathrite Shaman and their basic land to completely play around this. So I never found any value with Back to Basics. I thought it's a bad card. I don't like this card. I know Tuxdev likes this card. Gornellas obviously likes this card. I'm going to play it. I was willing to put like 2 Harbinger of the Tides or 2 more Merfolk Tricksters in this slot. I'm going to play it to see how much it can change the Grixis control matchup now that Deathrite Shaman has been banned. I want to see how the banning of Deathrite Shaman might affect some matchups with Back to Basics. But like, I've seen Tuxdev lose with this card, and maybe I just saw the streams where, you know, it failed on him, and this thing has repeatedly made me lose a lot of games. So I'm very pessimistic about this card, unless like I've been just the most unluckiest shit in the world. But
yeah.
Anyway, that is the deck tech for Legacy Merfolk. Let's get into our games. Well, we won the die roll, and our hand is fine. Our hand is good. We're gonna keep. Hopefully, we are not gonna be facing a turn 1 Force of Will. That could be a problem. That could be a problem, but our opponent's Snap lets us resolve. It's funny, in Legacy, the Storm counts immediately at 1. In Modern, it starts at like 6. Oh, no. Oh, I didn't even think about this. You know, with 2 Chalice of the Voids in hand, I could have threw one out there to be able to nail things like Mox Diamond.
Fool.
Oh, God. This could end up really bad really fast. Well, if I draw a land, I'm going to play a Chalice on 1. Screw. Oh, you're late. No, actually, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Actually, I could have countered the Mox Diamond, I guess. Well, then.
Chally on 0.
Chally on 0. I feel sheepish. We do have a Daze, so. But Daze would set us back by quite a bit. Oh, Wasteland. I'm shaking in my boots. Well, I can't do anything about this.
Could destroy him.
Okay, so this is not what I thought it was. Mutavault is bleh.
Chally on 1.
I guess so. I don't really have any other options. So we're up against a... I think this is called Maverick. I don't remember. You know what? The names, these decks are like so fuzzy. So do I want to... If I attack for 1, they're definitely attacking me back for 2. Let's attack. I'm going to attack because I want to get in as much... I don't know if the damage against us is going to matter so much. Like, they're not going to attack into us. Ghost Quarter, that's good. That's sort of useless against us. Gone. Like the wind. This is a matchup where we're not going to have Island Walk. Ugh. Yeah, we're just going to have to let that Curse Catcher die. I don't want to protect with Daze because I would rather save the Daze for another Relic. Actually, I don't know what's in this deck. Sorry, I'm not as proficient as I would like to be. This could be a 4-color Maverick deck for all I know. Okay, well, there's our island. Something we needed before. Pass. So now we can confidently play this Daze, knowing that we can recast our Lord of Atlantis next turn. Oh, sweet. Something for 4 mana that we can counter.
See ya.
Cast by returning an island. Gladly! Daze, got ya. Look at all my counter magic. The 0s, the 1s. So hopefully we've got... I don't know exactly what the... Like, the thing is, I believe they play their own Chalice of the Voids. I'm going to take the 2. I think our best chance of winning is just to out-aggro them. hoping that these creatures are going to be overwhelming soon. Cabal Pit. Wow, you keep finding a lot of lands. Threshold. Sacked. Negative. Target creature gets -2/-2. Activate this ability only if 7 or more cards in your graveyard. You have 5. So you're on your way.
There she is.
Liliana the Veil. The Liliana the Veil. Alright, we can get rid of Silver Gill Adept. Sylvan Library. So that's... It's sort of like a brainstorm every turn, but if we can get our opponent's life total really low, then it's not going to be that big of a deal. Drawing a lot of islands now. If I attack them, Liliana gets to live. They're going to take it up. It's going to be hard to kill Liliana because they can block with the stupid Dryad Arbor. Let's try to take her out now. If they lose the Dark Confidant, I think that's fair. Maybe they have multiple Lilianas. I don't know.
Getting lucky with their flips.
That's super lucky. That's Grove of the Burn Willow. So now they've got their combo online where they're going to gain a life and nail us with Punishing Fire. So the idea is if we gain if an opponent gains life, you pay a red, return this thing back to their hand. Now we're sort of out of range, but the problem. Oh, we got ya. Oh, I get no. Actually they wanted to do that. That was their plan. So they got Cabal. Okay, so they got Cabal Pit online. They need a black. What do they discard with this? Add 1 mana. Oh, it doesn't matter. Just add 1 mana. So they can add a black, gain us a life, Punishing Fire. Damn. So one of these lords are dead. Unless I can get another Chalice of the Void, put it on 2, then we can prevent Punishing Fire from ruining us. We do not do that.
Swing for 6.
I can't. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. Yeah, so I guess swinging for 6 is better than doing nothing. Because they give one creature -2/-2. And then... Well, I guess one alternative is they give one creature -2/-2, and then they just block with the Dryad Arbor, and then they bring back Punishing Fire, and then blow up the other one. So, what is the best thing to do? Nothing? Nothing? Just pass? This game certainly couldn't have been different if we had the Chalice on 0 on turn 1. Which is not unreasonable. Like, in the dark, it can hurt a lot of decks. Keep both islands in my hand, just in case we can bluff some sort of counterspell. Okay, so, well, I guess, yeah, I guess we can't bluff. So they're going to play Punishing Fire first, and if it resolves, then they're going to activate their Cabal Pit, which is very unlikely that I can interact with this thing well. It's not like I have Stifle in my deck. So from here on out, we're going to lose everything. We really need to top deck... Card that might help. Well, I don't know what I want. Sort of regretting not blocking this Dark Confidant, but I didn't expect that much. Like, our opponent could have just top decked 3. They drew 1, 2, 3, 4 lands. They could have just drawn a bunch of spells and then shot themselves in the face. They could hit the Liliana off of their Dark Confidant.
Should have swung for 6.
Well, I would have lost everything anyway. Well, this doesn't help. So they got their engine online. I have nothing online right now. Shows how delicate Legacy is, people. So we can definitely beat this, though. Not in this game. We're going to have to do it in the post-board games. Ooh, they have Life from the Loam as well. So this is a matchup where we might want to lean hard on our Dismembers. We might want to lean hard on Relic of Progenitus. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that this deck also plays Chalice of the Void, so the fact that we drew Chalices weren't really relevant, because they're not playing things like Lightning Bolt and Fatal Push. They're playing cards like Punishing Fire, which dodges these cards. I think maybe Mox Diamond is the only thing that they can play for 0. They're gonna play Life from the Loam, get their land engine going on. I guess this is also a matchup where Back to Basics might do something. Well, okay. Yeah, maybe I'll cancel that. I'm pretty rusty with Legacy. I haven't played it since, I don't know, that crazy Cozy Strixter deck that I played a long time ago. So I just want to see as many cards as I can out of my opponent. I'm definitely not up to date on the format. Much more excited about playing it. See, they got their own Chalice of the Voids. So our hand actually ended up being really bad. It was like a terrible hand. Could have been a little bit better if, like, Aetherval got to exist for one more turn. Or maybe not. It didn't really matter. We didn't have a second blue source from the beginning of the game. So maybe we were just doomed to fail. Tireless Tracker. That is a good card. Especially with Life from the Loam. Lovely. Just lovely. Alright, let's make a Tireless Tracker. Let's... Clue. Give me a clue. That's why you keep those lands in your hand, people. Your Tireless Tracker works for me now. Oh. I don't care, I get the clue anyway. Give me a clue. Oh, that's satisfying. Ta-da! Oh, more land. Is Andrew around? Is he somewhere here? Where's Andrew? His presence is among us.
I don't know about that.
Sylvan Library. What is even going on with this Sylvan Library? Draws 2 cards. Oh, they're just going ham now. Why not? Our hand is full. The board is full. Oops. Yield through this turn. And it's very likely we're going to die now. Because we're just going to get hit with the Punishing Fire. Now that we're at 2 life. Alright. Excellent. Alright, so how are we going to want to sideboard? Okay, I'm willing to try this. Don't fail me again. Don't you dare. A card Relic looks pretty appealing here. Dismember is very good here. Venser, I can't remember if you're that useful. Like, I'm pretty sure they bring in Choke. I don't know if I care that much about that. Curse Catcher, not very effective against Sylvan Library. Pretty stupid against... Curse Catcher is just not useful against... What's it called? Okay, let's talk about some cards that we don't need at all. Chalice of the Void seems like garbage. That's awful. So we need to trim 3 cards? I'm willing to trim the Curse Catchers. Maybe we take out Days on the draw. It's hard to play around Days. How about Curse Catcher? The most meaningful card that Curse Catcher can interact with is Green Sun Zenith. Is that worth it? Maybe. We can keep some Echoing Truths in the deck. Just in case they play that Choke. We can try to unlock ourselves from it. Okay, I'm just gonna be I'm just gonna be practical. We're on the draw, we'll get rid of Days, and we'll get rid of 1 Curse Catcher. And I'm gonna keep everything else. I would love to go first. Yeah. It's okay. It's fine. We'll live with it. We can play turn 2 Lord into turn 3 Lord, and we can sack this Curse Catcher to the Force of Will. The annoying thing about Mox Diamond is like you don't you discard the land when it enters the battlefield. Cycler. Yeah, I'm going to Force a Will the Dark Confidant. I'm always pretty confident I'm confident that this thing is trouble.
Pain in the ass.
Yeah, basically. So I'm gonna play Cavern of Souls first, just in case our opponent plays Choke next turn. Okay. That's not good. There's nothing we could have done about that either. Ugh. Alright then. I'm going to hold on to Phantasmal Image just in case we draw a True Name Nemesis. I don't think we get a lot of value playing Recurse Catcher here. Liliana the Veil, alright. Okay, we're going to sacrifice the Curse Catcher. In that case, well, playing Phantasmal Image on the Curse Catcher to play around Liliana the Veil might have been a thing, but still I'm willing to wait on our Phantasmal Image. Merfolk. I guess this might be a problem. If I find True Name Nemesis... Green Sense for 3, sure. Probably Tireless Tracker. Oh, now the Reliquary. Okay.
You can copy that.
I can, but I don't have anything good in play. Ooh, okay, so Mutavault is a good draw. But actually, well, maybe not. Now the Reliquary can find Wastelands and blow up my Mutavaults. Gets +1/+1 for each land card in the graveyard. Well, I just have to take this stupid line of animating this and then making this Mutavault, because otherwise the Liliana is just going to eat my hand. A Johnny? Well, all of a sudden I'm really punished for tapping the Mutavault. I didn't even know that this was a card in Legacy. Well, I guess it didn't matter. Yeah, they can just target this Mutavault and make it sacrifice itself, which is a stupid rule. It's so stupid. It says whenever Phantasmal Image also has when this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability, sacrifice it. But it was a land. It was land. Why do I have to sacrifice the Phantasmal Image? I instantly regret force willing this Dark Confidant. All these bombs were a lot harsher.
That's Legacy, people.
That's Legacy, folks. Well, look at that. You've got like a million cards out and I have nothing. Looks poor. Alright, pass. I mean, if anyone, anyone in the comments section is welcome to tell me what I've done wrong, if I did anything wrong, but I think we just got rolled by a very good hand. I would say our hand was okay. It could be better, but it's okay. And like I said, if we had True Name Nemesis, they actually had the answer with Liliana the Veil. Everyone has an answer to True Name Nemesis, but their hand was very, very good. Well, there's True Name Nemesis, which is either going to get eaten by Liliana now or later. I might as well target myself. Protection from myself. True Name Nemesis is very good in this matchup if they do not have an Edict effect. So maybe if we can draw 2 more true names, we have a chance. Probably not. I mean, this thing's going to ultimate soon. Destroy all lands target player controls? What am I going to do about that? That's pretty good. That's pretty good, in my opinion. Camera, doesn't this have a lightning helix? 3 damage to any target and you gain 3 life. Yeah. -2 lightning helix, my lord. Or even that. Yeah, okay. Do you know what? When they're shooting our face, I think it's time to throw in the towel. They just have way too much on the board, and we can't come back from this. They had a dominant hand. Game 1. Yeah, game 1 our hand was poop too. It just didn't interact with our opponent. Which also speaks like what I was trying to say earlier, like a Merfolk leverages hard on Chalice of the Void, and in the matchups where it's not good, I mean the whole deck can be like nothing. Given the way that this game played out, I definitely should have kept those dazes and even on the draw, because when Ajani or Liliana the Veil are being played on turns 3 and 4, and I mean I know they had Mox Diamond in this game, but if Liliana the Veil and Ajani is going to be played on turns 3 and 4 in the games that there is no Mox Diamond. I mean, at the very least, Ajani is going to be played on turn 3 at fastest. That's not a bad time to play Daze. It's not bad at all. And on top of that, if you also add in the fact that they're playing with Green Sun Zenith, and they're really mana hungry, like they're trying to use their mana as much as possible, Daze is still going to have a lasting effect going on into the long game. So our lesson for today is Chalice is only good when it's good. Because, you know, I mean, if it's not going to do anything to your opponent, then it was just a giant donut. Uh-oh. Don't forget the Curse Catcher serving a Goblin Head giveaway if you want to be eligible for this. There are links in the description below. Retweet on Twitter, share on Facebook. The more you share and retweet per video increases your chance of winning the giveaway. So, as usual, we're going to thank all my patrons supporting me on Patreon. We're also going to thank themanabase.com for being our sponsor. This has been Nikachu with his brother playing Merfolk in Legacy.